Pull your hair back so I can see your neck. Hilda stops breathing. Behind her, a man's boots. Heavy. American. She can feel his breath on her shoulder, warm against the frozen air. Her hands won't move. The barracks stink of diesel and wet wool. 37 German women stand in a crooked line. None of them speak. None of them look up. They know what comes next. The propaganda trained them for this moment. Wenn sie dich anfassen, kämpfst du nicht. Du stirbst schneller. When they touch you, don't fight. You die faster. Hilda is 23, Wehrmacht signals operator, hasn't slept in 96 hours. The last thing she ate was half a potato, frozen 3 days ago. Now an American soldier is standing behind her, asking to see her neck. 11 million German soldiers captured by May 1945. Fewer than 900 were women. Hilda is one of them. Her throat tightens. The woman beside her, Britta, 19, still has blood crusted under her fingernails from field surgery. Reaches out. Their pinkies touch. Small. Secret. The only warmth in the room. Hair back, the voice repeats. Now. Hilda's hands shake as she gathers her hair, pulls it forward over one shoulder, exposes the back of her neck, pale, dirty, vulnerable. She waits for hands. She waits for violence. She waits for what the pamphlets promised. Instead, she hears something click. Metal. Small. Not a gun. Not a blade. Something else. The room smells like antiseptic now. Sharp. Clinical. Wrong. This doesn't match the stories. This doesn't match anything she was told. Britta's breath catches beside her. Next, a woman's voice says. Wait. A woman? Hilda's brain lags. There shouldn't be a woman here. American women don't serve in combat zones. That's what they were told. That's what the officers swore. But the voice is female, and it's speaking German now. Perfect German. Berlin accent. Kopf geradeaus. Nicht bewegen. Head straight. Don't move. Hilda's pulse pounds in her ears. She can feel something pressing against the top of her spine now. Cold. Round. Metal. Not a knife. Not a gun. She doesn't know what it is. She doesn't understand what's happening. The script in her head, the one that told her exactly how American soldiers treat captured women, is dissolving word by word. Then she feels it. Pressure. Movement. The metal object sliding down her neck, between her shoulder blades, and stopping at the center of her back. And a voice says, deep breath. Deep breath. Those are the words. Not orders to undress. Not threats. Not what the pamphlets promised. The metal object pressed against Hilda's spine isn't a weapon. It's a stethoscope. Cold. Clinical. The kind doctors use. She breathes, shallow, scared. The American behind her doesn't react. Just moves the stethoscope lower. Listens. Moves again. Clear, he says. Clear? Clear of what? Britta is next. The young medic steps forward, hands trembling. The same process. Hair back. Stethoscope. Deep breath. 30 seconds. Done. Das ist kein Krankenhaus. Das ist eine Falle. This isn't a hospital. It's a trap. That's what Britta is thinking. Hilda can see it in her eyes, the way they dart toward the door, calculating escape routes that don't exist. They've been transported for 11 hours in a truck with no windows. They don't know where they are. They don't know what country they're in. But here's what they're about to learn. Typhus killed 25,000 people in German-held camps in 1944 alone. American protocol mandates screening every POW within 2 hours of intake. 0 typhus outbreaks in U.S. facilities. 0. The stethoscope clicks against metal as the medic sets it down. Now a woman approaches. American uniform. Nurse Corps insignia. Red Cross on her sleeve. She's holding a clipboard and speaking German, not broken German, not textbook German. Berlin German. My name is Corporal Annette Vogel, she says. I was born in Charlottenburg. My family left in 1936. I'm here to explain what happens next. Nobody moves. Annette's eyes scan the line. She's seen this before. The frozen stares, the locked muscles, the absolute certainty that kindness is a trap. She's processed 300 women in the past month. Every single one expected assault. Every single one got a medical exam. We're checking for typhus, tuberculosis, and lice, Annette says. If you have wounds, we treat them. If you need food, you'll eat within the hour. If you need rest, there are cots in the next building. Silence. Nobody believes her. In the back of the line, a woman named Ursula, 31, SS Auxiliary, Iron Cross visible on her collar, laughs, short, bitter. You expect us to believe that? Ursula says. Annette turns toward her. Their eyes meet. Something passes between them. Recognition. Not of faces, of something else. Something older. No, Annette says. I expect you to watch. She picks up a medical kit, walks toward Ursula, stops 1 foot away. Your turn, she says. Hair back. Ursula doesn't move. Ursula's jaw tightens. She doesn't touch her hair, doesn't step forward, doesn't blink. I know what you are, she says. The room goes silent. Not quiet silent. The kind of silence that has weight. Hilda feels it pressing against her chest. Annette's face doesn't change. Her hands stay steady on the clipboard, but something shifts behind her eyes, a door closing. And what am I? Annette asks. Juden. The word hits the air like a slap. Britta's breath catches. 3 women near the door step backward. The American medic behind Annette reaches for something on his belt. Stops, waits. Ursula tilts her head. Vogel, Charlottenburg, 1936. I remember the Vogels, 4 houses down from my aunt. They left in the middle of the night like rats. Nobody breathes. Annette sets the clipboard down. Slowly, deliberately. The metal clip clicks against the wooden table. My father was a surgeon, she says. Served in the First War. Iron Cross, just like yours. He saved German soldiers for 20 years. Then one day, German soldiers came for him. Ursula doesn't flinch. He should have left sooner. 59,000 American nurses served in this war. 16 were killed by direct enemy fire. Annette caught shrapnel in Normandy. The scar runs from her wrist to her elbow. She could have gone home. She volunteered for POW processing instead. When asked why, she said, someone has to show them we're not what they think. But right now, looking at Ursula, she's wondering if that's possible. Wir hätten dich vergast. Und du heilst uns? We would have gassed you. And you're healing us? Annette picks up the stethoscope. The metal is warm now, body heat from the last 30 examinations. She steps toward Ursula. Close. Too close for comfort. Yes, she says, I'm healing you. Because that's the oath I took. Do you understand what an oath means? Or did they only teach you to break them? Ursula's eye twitches. For a moment, one single moment, something cracks in her expression. Not guilt, not shame. Something more dangerous. Doubt. Then it's gone. Check me, Ursula says, but don't expect me to thank you. Annette raises the stethoscope. I don't expect anything from you except a deep breath. She presses the metal to Ursula's chest, listens, counts heartbeats. Ursula's heart is racing. 120 beats per minute. Fear disguised as contempt. Annette writes a number on her clipboard, says nothing. But Hilda sees it, the slight tremble in Ursula's hand, the mask slipping. Something is breaking, and it's just beginning. Ursula steps aside. Her examination is complete. She doesn't speak, doesn't look at anyone, just walks to the corner of the barracks and stands with her back to the wall. The line moves. Britta goes next. Then a woman named Elsa, 26, telegraph operator, missing 2 fingers on her left hand from frostbite. Then another and another. The stethoscope clicks. The clipboard scratches. The process repeats. Each woman expects pain. Each woman receives medicine. Sie hätte mich sterben lassen können. Niemand hätte es erfahren. She could have let me die. No one would have known. That's Else, thinking about her fingers. The German medic who examined her 3 weeks ago said, amputation. No anesthesia, no antibiotics, just a saw and a leather strap. But Annette looks at the stumps, cleans them, applies fresh bandages, and says, the tissue is healing well. You'll keep the rest. Else stares at her own hand, like it belongs to someone else. Here's a number. Infection rate in German field hospitals. Winter 1944, 43%. Infection rate in American POW facilities, 6%. The difference is penicillin. The Americans have it. The Germans ran out in October. Hilda watches from her spot near the door. She's already been processed. Heart clear, lungs clear, no lice, wound on her left ankle. Cleaned and wrapped. They gave her water, real water, not snowmelt. She hasn't had clean water in 11 days. Now she's watching Annette work, watching the way she touches each woman with the same careful precision. No difference between the telegraph operator and the SS auxiliary. No hesitation, no revenge. It doesn't make sense. The pamphlet said American women were soft, decorative, useless. They said American soldiers would use captured women and discard them. They said medical examinations were pretexts for worse. But Annette has examined 19 women in the past hour. Not one of them has been touched inappropriately. Not one of them has been hurt. Not one of them has been spoken to with anything less than clinical detachment. Hilda's brain keeps trying to find the trap, the hidden cruelty, the moment when the mask drops and the propaganda proves true. It doesn't come. Instead, the door opens. A new American enters, male, older, gray at the temples, medical insignia on his collar. He speaks to Annette in English. She nods. Then she turns to the room and says, "There's one more examination for everyone. It requires removing your uniform jacket." 23 women stop breathing at exactly the same moment. Jackets off. That's what Annette said. Every woman in the room heard something else. Hilda's hands go to her collar. Freeze there. She can feel her heartbeat in her fingertips. Fast, shallow, wrong. Das ist es. Das ist der Moment. Alles davor war Theater. This is it. This is the moment. Everything before was theater. But Annette isn't looking at them like a predator. She's pulling a curtain across the room, heavy canvas, olive drab, floor to ceiling, creating a barrier between the processing area and the door. Women only behind the curtain, she says. The male medics will remain outside until this examination is complete. The gray-haired officer nods, steps back, closes the door behind him. Hilda blinks. Did that just happen? Did an American officer just leave because a nurse told him to? Else laughs, nervous, high-pitched. This is insane. This is protocol, Annette says. Geneva Convention requires same-sex medical personnel for intimate examinations. We're checking for hidden injuries, signs of assault, and evidence of malnutrition. I need to see your torsos, nothing else. Nobody moves. Geneva Convention. Hilda knows those words. They were mentioned in training. Briefly, mockingly. Something the weak countries invented. Something Germany didn't need to follow because Germany was going to win. Germany didn't win. And now a Jewish nurse from Charlottenburg is telling her the rules that Germans broke are the same rules that protect her. Britta is first. She unbuttons her jacket slowly. Underneath, a gray undershirt, sweat-stained, torn at the shoulder. Annette examines her back, checks for bruises, checks for marks, writes on the clipboard. Any pain here? Annette asks, pressing gently on Britta's ribs. No. Here? No. Good. You can put your jacket back on. Britta's eyes are wet. She's not crying, not exactly. But something is leaking out, some pressure that's been building for months. One by one, the women step behind the curtain. One by one, they're examined and released. The process takes 90 seconds per person. Clinical, professional, painless. When it's Ursula's turn, she hesitates. Problem? Annette asks. Ursula unbuttons her jacket. Underneath, on her left rib cage, there's a bruise the size of a fist, purple and yellow. Old. German officer, Ursula says, 3 weeks ago, I refused an order. Annette's expression doesn't change. She examines the bruise, writes something on the clipboard. It's healing, she says, but you should have reported it. Ursula laughs, bitter, broken. To whom? Annette has no answer for that. She hands Ursula her jacket. Behind them, Hilda is still watching, still waiting, still not understanding. Everyone has been examined. Everyone except Hilda. She's standing by the curtain, hands at her sides, eyes unfocused. Britta calls her name once, twice. Nothing. No response. No movement. Hilda? Annette sets down her clipboard, walks toward her slowly. Careful. The way you approach an animal that might bolt. Can you hear me? Hilda's lips move. No sound comes out. Ich weiß nicht mehr, wer ich bin. Ich weiß nicht mehr, wo ich bin. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know where I am. Combat exhaustion. The Americans have a name for it. The Germans call it cowardice. 1 in 4 soldiers experience symptoms, but women's cases are never documented, never treated, never acknowledged. Hilda has been in 3 bombardments in 10 days. The last one was 48 hours ago. She hasn't slept since, hasn't eaten, hasn't stopped moving until right now, this moment, when her body finally decided to quit. Annette kneels, eye level, non-threatening. Hilda, look at me. Nothing. Hilda. Her eyes drift, focus, unfocus again. Annette reaches into her pocket, pulls out something small, metal, holds it up where Hilda can see. A canteen cap. Water, Annette says. Do you want water? Something flickers in Hilda's expression. A spark, faint. Private Chen, the medic assistant, steps forward. He doesn't speak German, but he reads bodies. He unscrews his canteen, holds it out. Steam rises from the opening. Warm water, not standard issue, but Chen filled it from the heating pot 10 minutes ago. Hilda's nostrils flare. She smells it. Her hand moves, slowly, reaches out, takes the canteen. She drinks. Small sips at first, then longer. The water spills down her chin. She doesn't notice, doesn't care. Good, Annette says. That's good. Take your time. Hilda lowers the canteen. Her eyes focus, really focus, for the first time since she entered this building. Where am I? She asks. Belgium, 40 kilometers south of Liège. You're in an American medical processing facility. Medical? Yes. Hilda looks around, sees Britta, sees Elsa, sees Ursula in the corner, arms crossed, bruise hidden beneath her jacket. Nobody hurt us, Hilda says. Not a question. A realization. No. Why? Annette pauses. She's been asked this question before, by every woman in every processing line. The answer never changes. Because that's not who we are. Hilda stares at her, searching for the lie. She doesn't find it. I need to see your neck, Annette says. Hair back. Can you do that? Hilda reaches up, gathers her hair, pulls it aside. Annette's expression changes. Annette's eyes go wide, just for a moment. Then the clinical mask returns. How long have you had this? Hilda's hand moves to the back of her neck, touches something wet. Her fingers come away red. I don't... She stops, blinks. I don't remember. The wound is 3 inches long, jagged, infected. The skin around it is swollen and hot, classic signs of bacterial infiltration. Another 24 hours without treatment, and the infection would have spread to her bloodstream. Sepsis, death. Sie suchen nicht nach Schwächen, sie suchen nach Wunden. They're not looking for weakness, they're looking for wounds. Annette moves fast, calls for the gray-haired officer, Dr. Hartmann, it turns out. He enters with a medical kit. No hesitation, no questions. Shrapnel? He asks. Looks like it. When? She doesn't remember. Hartmann's gloved hands are already cleaning the wound. Hilda winces, but doesn't pull away. The antiseptic burns, sharp, chemical, alive. You're lucky, Hartmann says. Another day, and we'd be looking at systemic infection. Lucky. Hilda wants to laugh. 96 hours without sleep. 3 bombardments, 400 kilometers on foot from the Eastern Front. And she's lucky. But then she thinks about it. Really thinks. In a German field hospital, this wound would mean amputation at best, a bullet at worst. Waste of resources, they called it. Better to let the weak die quickly. Here, an American surgeon is using sulfa powder on her neck. 4 cents worth of medicine. The same medicine German soldiers haven't seen in months. Hold still, Hartman says. This is going to sting. It does. Hilda bites her lip hard enough to draw blood. But she doesn't move, doesn't speak. When it's done, Hartman applies a clean bandage. White. Pristine. First clean thing Hilda has worn in weeks. Change it daily, he says. Annette will show you how. Any fever, any increased redness, you come back immediately. Understood? Hilda nods. Her throat is too tight for words. Hartman packs his kit, pauses at the door, turns back. There's something in your pocket, he says. I noticed it during the examination. It's been pressing against the wound, probably making the infection worse. Hilda's hand goes to her jacket. She'd forgotten. The weight has been there so long she stopped noticing. She pulls it out. Metal, small, engraved letters, a dog tag, but not hers. Hartman reads the name. His expression shifts, something between recognition and confusion. Where did you get this? He asks. Hilda looks at the tag in her hand. I tried to save him, she says. I failed. Richter, Franz Richter, Berlin, 1921. Hilda reads the name aloud. Her voice cracks on the last syllable. The dog tag sits cold in her palm, edges worn smooth from 11 days of clutching. 11 days of carrying a dead man through surrender, transport, processing. She doesn't know why she kept it, couldn't let go. Hartman takes the tag gently, tilts it toward the light. His thumb traces the stamped letters. You said you tried to save him. His voice is careful, clinical. Save him from what? The bombardment, the last one. 48 hours ago, or was it 72? Time blurs when you stop sleeping. War unter den Trümmern. Ich habe gegraben, bis meine Hände geblutet haben. He was under the rubble. I duck until my hands bled. Hilda raises her palms. The blisters are still raw, pink and weeping beneath scabbed edges. Hartman hadn't noticed them before, too focused on the neck wound. Now the full picture assembles itself. You dug for him, Hartman says, bare hands. He was screaming. I could hear him through the stones. I thought... She swallows. One more stone, just one more. Did you reach him? Yes. Whisper now, barely audible. He died in my arms, internal bleeding. His chest was... She can't finish. Can't describe the way his ribs moved wrong, the wet sounds, the silence after. Hartman is quiet. The generator hums outside. Snow ticks against the window. Then, Franz Richter, I know that name. Hilda's head snaps up. There's an American soldier 3 buildings over, Private Walter Richter. Family emigrated from Berlin, 1938. He still has relatives in Germany. Pause. Had relatives. 11,000 German Americans served in the Wehrmacht, trapped by closed borders, drafted by a country that wasn't theirs, forced to fight their own blood. Franz was one of them. And his cousin, American uniform, American flag, American oath, is 200 meters away. Hätte auf unserer Seite sein können, auf unserer Seite sterben können. He could have been on our side, could have died on our side. Hartman hands the tag back. You should give it to him, he says. You were the last person who tried to save his cousin. That matters. Hilda stares at the metal in her palm. Franz's name, Franz's blood, Franz's screaming echoing through stone. What if he blames me? He might. What if he hates me? Hartman pauses at the door, looks back. Then at least he'll have something to bury. The door opens. Cold air rushes in. Hilda's feet start moving. The cold hits her like a fist. Hilda steps outside, and the wind cuts straight through her uniform. The bandage on her neck tightens, frozen edges scraping raw skin. Each breath burns. Each step crunches. Annette walks beside her, silent, professional. But her eyes keep drifting to Hilda's hands, the way they clench around the dog tag like it might disappear. 3 buildings, 200 meters, 4 minutes of frozen mud and barbed wire shadows. Ich trage einen Toten zu seinem Blut, und ich bin der Feind. I'm carrying a dead man to his blood. And I'm the enemy. The American medical unit is larger, more cots, more bodies. German and American soldiers lying in parallel rows, wounds dressed with the same bandages, pain managed with the same morphine, enemies healing side by side, like brothers who forgot they were fighting. Hilda stops at the threshold. Her boots won't cross. Something locks in her chest. Private Walter Richter sits on a cot near the window, 22 years old, brown hair pushed back, jaw squared, hands resting on his knees. He looks up, and Hilda stops breathing. The resemblance is a knife, same nose, same narrow shoulders, same way of holding stillness like a weapon. Franz's ghost wearing American olive drab. Walter's eyes move from Hilda's face to her uniform, German insignia, dirt, blood, enemy. His expression doesn't change. No hatred, no fear, just waiting. The patience of someone who's learned that reactions cost energy. Annette speaks first. Private Richter, this woman has something belonging to your family. Hilda's legs move without permission. Autopilot. Survival instinct reversed, walking toward danger instead of away. She holds out the dog tag. Walter looks at it, reads the name. His face drains white. Where? His voice cracks, starts again. Where did you get this? Aachen, the bombardment. The building collapsed and I heard... Hilda's throat closes. I heard him screaming. You were there? I tried to dig him out. She shows her palms. Blisters split, and weeping. I reached him. But the internal... He was already... She can't say it. Can't describe Franz dying in her arms. The wet sounds. The way his eyes stayed open. Walter takes the dog tag, both hands. Knuckles white. The metal trembles between his fingers. He wasn't supposed to be there, Walter whispers. Visiting grandmother. Summer 1939. Then the borders closed. Drafted 1941. He was 19. 19. Kämpfend für ein Land, das ihn gestohlen hat. 19. Fighting for a country that stole him. Walter stands. One step forward. Hilda braces for the blow. Dankeschön. 2 words, German words, from an American mouth. Hilda's knees almost buckle. She braced for violence, prepared for blame, expected the fist that grief entitles. Instead, gratitude. You tried, Walter says. His voice is steady now, controlled. You could have walked away, left him under the stones. No one would have known. Aber ich konnte seine Stimme hören. But I could hear his voice. I know. Walter hangs the dog tag around his neck. Franz's name rests against his chest. 2 Richters, 2 uniforms, 1. Bloodline shattered by cartographers. That's why I'm thanking you, not for saving him, for trying. The distinction lands like a blade. Behind Hilda, shadows gather. Britta and Elsa in the doorway, curiosity overcoming exhaustion. Ursula behind them, arms crossed, jaw locked. But her eyes have changed. Something cracked, something leaking through. Annette steps forward. What happens now isn't punishment, it's processing. Food, sleep, paperwork tomorrow, assignment after. Food. Hilda can't remember her last hot meal. The next hour blurs. Bread that isn't frozen. Soup with actual warmth. Coffee, bitter, weak, but coffee. The women eat in silence, too broken for conversation, too grateful to complain. Then cots, wool blankets, a roof that doesn't shake. Hilda lies in darkness, staring at wooden beams. Her neck throbs beneath the clean bandage. Her hands pulse with half-healed blisters. Her chest aches with something she can't name. 3 cots away, Ursula whispers to no one. Wir wurden nicht besiegt. Wir wurden beschämt durch Freundlichkeit. We weren't defeated. We were shamed by kindness. The SS auxiliary, the true believer, the woman who spat the word Juden like a weapon, now clutching a wool blanket like a child afraid of the dark. Hilda closes her eyes, remembers the processing line, the voice behind her. Pull your hair back so I can see your neck. 7 words. She heard assault. He meant assessment, the gap between propaganda and reality. That's where fear breeds, where hatred grows roots, where wars continue long after the last bullet. But sometimes, rarely, that gap is where something else takes hold, not trust. Trust takes decades, but the first crack, the first question, the first doubt. Hilda touches her bandage, clean, white, applied by the enemy. She keeps it for 43 years, pressed between pages of a Bible she doesn't believe in. When her granddaughter asks why, Hilda says, "That was the first time someone treated my wound instead of making new ones." Outside, snow falls on enemies sleeping peacefully.